Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Lee Hartman. I'm the manager of events and artist engagement with the Harriman-Jewell series. We're absolutely delighted that you could join us today for our special guest guitarist and artist, Jiji. She's going to talk about her career. She's going to play some pieces. She'll answer some questions. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. All of this is in preparation for her live stream performance that's going to be viewable at Saturday at 7 p.m. Central at hjseries.org. And Jiji will play a full recital of music from right here in Kansas City. But now she's over in Arizona. And so, Jiji, I'm going to toss it to you and let you take it away.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you. I am so excited to be here. You have no idea how just it means so much to me to play a concert in kind of in person and going to Kansas City, and I've been there in 2014. So it means a lot to be back in Kansas City. So I'm looking so forward to our recital. And today, yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of story because don't we all love stories? And I think my journey as a classical guitarist is quite fun, and I think it's quite wacky. So I'll go ahead. So I started playing the guitar when I was 8, but how I was introduced to play the guitar was really, different. My parents weren't. They were just supportive, and they knew that their daughters needed to be an artist or some sort of artist in the arts, or you know. And my parents, my father particularly, had supported me and guided me, and into these, like, the classic, the amazing, musicians, rock guitarists actually. So like Jimi Hendrix, I mean blues also, Eric Clapton, I mean Richie Blackmore from Deep Purple. Oh my gosh, I had just, like, even with, like, when it was with Rainbow, and just like I was always just so bamboozled by how they can play on the electric guitar. I thought it, like, the smokes will come out. And I remember just, like, I could just imagine being on the stadium playing electric guitar. So that was my first instrument that I wanted to play. So when my parents took me to a musical shop, I said, electric guitar, give me a Fender. I want a Fender. I want a Fender. Or maybe Gibson. I don't know. I don't know. I remember just like, I want an electric guitar. And my parents said, no, we're not ready yet to have this loud instrument. Isn't that funny? Even though they're the one who, like, kind of tricked me into, like, loving these musicians. And so I they kind of, like, took my head and just, like, shifted to this other area, classical guitar area. It's like, hey, classical guitar's on sale. Let's go over there. And we went over there, and my dad is like, hey, if you do this for a year, good lessons, and you do well, we'll buy an electric guitar. So of course that never happened. I mean, parents, they trick you to get you to start something, right? So I bought my electric way later in my life, but I fell in love with the classical guitar. I was watching videos and DVDs growing up. John Williams, Andres Segovia, Julian Bream, and the Assad family. I mean, if you ever seen Badi Assad, she's just like on her guitar, and she's like beatboxing, and she's like singing at the same time. She's amazing. And I remember just like, oh, I want to be that. And Kaori Muraji, the most amazing Japanese classical guitarist. I thought she was a guitar goddess. I thought, oh my gosh, if I can be like her, that's just like my dream. But like growing up, and it became serious quite like that. I was doing the whole rigorous conservatory training from quite an early age, and it was an intense life. Like my parents, I remember getting ready for this middle art school. Like my parents pulled me out of class after before lunch so I could practice. I was like practicing like 6 to 8 hours every day, like, and then fast forward, I skipped out of high school and I went to college in the age of 14, and it was called the Korea National University of the Arts. And yeah, there I was like going to university as a 14-year-old, and it was a lot. I think it was um definitely not something that I just kind of knew. It was more like this is what I had to do. So I was like um trained to be this classical guitar prodigy. And then I came to the States when I was 16. And then I first had my freedom, right? For the first time. My parents aren't around. I was like always just practicing. I always had to do this. I always had like curfew. I couldn't hang out with friends, and I really like didn't have that in my life. So when I came to the States, you think everything will be fine, roses and gold or whatever. No, I actually had a lot of challenge, and I just kind of swayed away. I think it was still my path, but it was a path that kind of made me curve a little bit. And I just had to experience life, and I just had to become distant from my music learning, right? And after that, for years, I just kind of had this disconnect with music because it was so intense training. I just became more like methodical and just like always practicing the same thing, blah 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 blah. And I wasn't really fully enjoying and really taking it to heart anymore. One summer changed my life, though. Um, it was the summer. It's a 2014. It's like Kansas City, and 2014. I attended this summer festival, and it was called Bang on Can Summer Festival, and it was exactly what I needed. It's a festival that was run by the Bang on Can All Stars with David Lang, Michael Gordon, Julia Wolf, like all these Pulitzer winning composers, and I've always loved their music. And this thing happened. Like in the morning, we do rigorous ensemble, like chamber music. At lunchtime, we play solo recitals, whatever you want. At night, you're playing folk music. And there was no this conflict of you can't you don't have to do only one thing. You listen to a lot of other music. You can be a musician and do all those things. So that summer I have then rediscovered for myself. I started being like, you know what? I want to like reconnect when I was little, loving my Jimi Hendrix, loving my Prince, loving, I got my electric guitar. I played. I played electric guitar concerto. The first time ever to be at Curtis Institute of Music. They never had an electric guitar. I had to go to the dean and talk to them. It's like, oh, please let me play electric guitar. Ooh. For my graduation recital. And it was just that liberating feeling. It's like, oh, I can play concertos that I love. I can play new music. I can play pop music. I don't have to separate these things anymore. And it was a moment, really, the real journey of Gigi, really. My real name is Jian, but Gigi was like born out of that experience. And I just wanted to. And here I am. And I just wanted to kind of give you little scoops of like my favorite tunes. Does it sound okay? Is that a really great time? A little pause? I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. I just like unloaded so much to you, but
Gigi, that's great. I have a question for you. That electric guitar concerto, who wrote that? Was that Steve Mackey's or?
oh, it was by this Australian composer, William Gardner, and it was just so fun. It was like really, really wacky and very weird and awesome. You should check it out. It's there's a my recital, my graduation recital is still on the PBS on YWHYY Curtis recital, Gigi. Yeah, it's still there.
I just wanted to remind everyone who's here, thank you again for joining us. We're talking with Gigi. She has her recital coming up for the Harriman-Jewell series on Saturday at 7 p.m., which you can watch at hjseries.org for free. It's going to be great. And she's here talking with us about her career, about guitar music, and about everything that you could possibly want to know about guitar. If you have any questions for her, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll get to them. Gigi, do you want to play a number for us or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of show you guys my first piece, and it's actually going to be on the recital too. I mean, but I think it's kind of fun. I'll tell you one thing, one more story. So I remember in middle school. So I went to an arts middle school, and we had to do, like music history and stuff. But we never learned any music by female composer. And I remember raising my hand, said, "Huh? Was there no female composers? Like, secret ones, like the cool secret ones, like that we don't know about?" And the teacher just like brushing off was like, "There were no female composers back then," and just like shut me down. And I remember like, whoa, but I was too young to know whoa. So I wanted to show you this composer that I arranged, and it's by Claudia Sessa. And I love this piece so much. She's such an amazing person. She was very humble. A lot of her music got lost, and this is one of the two pieces that survived. So I just wanted to share this special piece. Here we go. Does this volume sound okay, everyone? Great.
Gigi, thank you for that. That's beautiful. We have a couple questions from the chat if you'd want to.
Yes,
Okay,
chat.
great. Yeah, so Gabe wants to know, do classical guitarists typically play in any alternate tunings that you might find similarly to blues players?
Yeah, so a lot of the times you just heard we do detunings. So my sixth string is turned down to D, and sometimes we like to play with um, the fifth string as a G. Those are kind of the standard ones. We have our standard ones. Also, sometimes we do our lute tuning, which our third string tunes to F sharp. But not a lot of, I mean, some new music stuff, we have a lot of scordatura. So, yes. And a lot of the older pieces do not have too much scordatura. Yes.
Uh, Trace,
um,
oh, sorry,
Pardon?
go ahead.
No,
Tracy,
that's it.
okay, cool. Tracy wants to know, are your parents happy that you ended up playing both classical and electric guitar, even though they wouldn't buy you the electrical guitar at first?
So, I'm going to be totally honest. Totally honest. When I started playing electric guitar, they were like, "What are you doing?" They thought I was going to like go to the dark path. And they couldn't understand what I was doing. But now they're like, "Oh my gosh, like my dad, there's this one guitar concerto that I recorded, and there's like this like place that I'm like shredding like Steve Vai. I was very, very like I took Steve Vai's um um passage and like riff, and my dad is just like obsessed with that video. He watches over and over and over again, and he thinks it's so freaking cool. And now, yeah, there's they took a little time, but they're now supportive. Yes.
Um, you mentioned that that piece that was a Renaissance woman, Italian woman composer, and in our discussion before we even started this, you were talking about that you were just teaching a class that featured also Italian women composers of the Renaissance era, um, and I remember reading an article from New Music Box that you wrote that was about audition requirements on the guitar. Could you speak to that a little bit and how you're diversifying the repertoire?
Yes. So, I mean, really, really, all kind of this spark really happened because of my student. My only African American student, in light of everything that was happening last June, he came to me. He's like, "Gigi, I really, really wanted to. I want to play my recital, graduate recital, all to be Black composers." And I said, "Of course. I think that's so amazing. I'm with you." And then we realized, oh, and as he was preparing for graduate schools, he's like, but no school is going to accept the pieces that I'm working on right now. There's like all the requirements are um, Bach, Sor, and like 90 or whatever, and he's just like he felt so crushed, and he thought he had to take a year off, and I remember just being like, oh, of course, like I guess we'll take a year off, and we'll prep those pieces. And then I was like, okay, hang on, why aren't these pieces part of the requirement? Why aren't these part of the so-called standard? The standards of it's a made up thing. Why can't this be included? So I wrote this article to just kind of talk about it, to start a really conversation. Are we saying, we have so much initiatives like, oh, we need to diversify and, our repertoire and everything. But if we can't even do it at the first level, the elementary level of like auditioning, if that's not part of the process, how are we going to stop the perpetual loop? And it's been a really amazing. I just like it was one of the most amazing thing to witness, because a lot of people have felt this way too. A lot of the musicians that I have heard back, and Yale, they changed their requirements to actually have female and BIPOC composers part of their requirements. And I've heard from schools at chamber ensemble class from MIT that they're going to make sure that they're going to diversify their repertoire. And I just felt that um, guitar is such an amazing instrument that actually resonates with different cultures, that it was a bit easier process. And it was it's just been a really, really just rewarding to witness that the change that is happening slowly, but it is happening.
Great. I have we have thank you for that. We and thank you for your efforts on that. And it's great to see the changes that are happening. And just the comments that happened on your article in particular were just wonderful to see the support that it got, and support with action, which was great. We have a lot more questions coming in. This is great. Clark wants to know, are there artists on your bucket list with whom you'd like to collaborate with?
Oh my gosh. Oh no! I'm gonna blank because I want to work with everyone. Okay. Christina Pluar, who is this amazing theorbo player, who is also like, she is the one who leads this ensemble, Baroque Ensemble La Parciata. Oh my gosh, to work with her would be just so amazing. I mean, Badi Assad, she's my muse. Oh my gosh, the greats. I don't know everyone. I mean, even okay, this is like so far fetched. I would love to work with a pop singer. Her name is Charlie XCX. I'm like obsessed with her. um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess like that's kind of. I'm sure I have everyone, but right now those are the three people that just came into my mind without even thinking.
But
Those three women just came into my
just
image.
pop it in. You have all these projects, and so you have all these people that are just in your brains. So Tim wants to know, what could you tell us a little bit about some of the ensembles that you play in regularly? Thanks.
Yeah, you're regular. So I'm part of this new music ensemble called Wild Up, and they're based in LA. And we just say we play old and new music, and we're just so playing as wacky and weird sounds that are beautiful to us, and we're always like finding awesome repertoire to play. And we just got nominated for Grammys 2 years ago with Chris Sarone. And so they're my favorite people. It's just been like every time it's different. Like when we go to concerts, like Chris, our conductor, would say, it's like, Gigi, can you like improvise on this thing? And I'm like, we didn't talk about that during our first rehearsal, but okay, let's do it. And it's just been so wonderful. So Brazil Guitar Duo and I have a really cool project. We're doing like Brazil to K-pop project that we started last year. Unfortunately, everything got postponed. But we were doing a lot of those like really pop music of Korea and Brazil. And I also work with a string quartet, Quarteto Latinoamericano. We were just like, oh, they're the best people I've ever met in my life. Just so amazing. Just like the knowledge and artistry that I just got to share with was incredible. And right now, the most exciting project that I did was with Laura Donis, pianist Laura Donis, and her album just got shout out from the New York Times. I recorded Justin Holland's music, who's a fantastic composer. So yeah, I mean, I can't think of any more. Oh, and also someone that's it. I play with my partner, Guli Bjornsson, and we're called Linu. We play from exactly like me as a person, like electric guitar, and classical. We do from like really Hildegard von Bingen to filler glass. So that's kind of our aesthetics.
That's
Yay!
great. Oh, these questions are wonderful, folks. Keep them coming. Um,
Yes.
Daniel wants to know, how do you help students that are super focused on rigorous musical training begin to actually have fun with their music and become creative, similarly like what you experienced in 2014?
I this is the thing. It always came from fear, like what why I was so hesitant to kind of really um to embrace all of my musical identities was that, oh, what if like, oh, people reject or people think I'm like weird or something, and this feeling of like I'm supposed to do this. And I think reassuring and creating a very safe environment just to be like, no, you can do whatever you want. Nobody is telling you you should be doing anything. And that's, I always just try to tell my students, nobody is telling you you should do anything. There's no such thing as that. So I think just kind of reassuring them and ask them if they compose. Like a lot of the times, I sometimes like as lessons go, they come in, they're like, okay, well, we'll do the standard stuff. And sometimes just kind of ask them like, hey, so like, do you have anything that you're doing or you're interested in doing right now? And like my student read me good. Oh my gosh, I had no idea she was an amazing songwriter. And she sang for me. I was crying in my lesson. I was like, oh my god, this is the most beautiful. And I've been like, okay, we're gonna like, and just trying to encourage them. And she felt so vulnerable showing that to me. She was like, oh, well, you shouldn't be wasting your time there, Missy. She thought I was going to say that, but instead I was like, no, that was amazing, you should do that, like keep doing that. And now she's like working on our EP, and I was just like, oh, it's so important to just even ask, like, what are you up to, like what are you doing? I think it's the best thing. And they're really wicked smart. Students are freaking smart, man. I learned so much from them.
So you're talking about songwriting and EP and pop artists. You do a little bit of DJing as well, yes? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it really came out of grad school, really. I was just like, oh, I mean, not that I was like, I have amazing aesthetics. No, it's just like I really loved going to dance parties and I loved dancing. I just so resonate with dancing. And sometimes, some DJ I don't vibe with, like just we go to these events, it's like, oh man, it's a drop after drop after drop. And it's like, oh, there's no like arc to it. And it's kind of like a nice, if you see a nice painting, there's always like a nice arc or story. And I always like find beauty in structure. So it started from that. And just like I just like came with like like how I think a set should go as the night goes. And I just started doing it, and it's just been kind of like on the like side project, and it just became like a thing.
Do- Does that formal structure tie into when you're composing too? Do you find that you're taking elements of your DJing and putting them into your own compositions?
Yeah, I mean, totally. Like I was just saying, like it's actually compositional, right? It's like how do you prepare like certain emotional dynamics, or uh I always talk about emotional structure whenever I even talk to my students, like, oh, when you see a piece of music, how would you treat this? How would you put it into a structure? How would you paint this into an experience? And with my compositions, I always think of like, okay, there's this section and I want this texture, and it's very visual also. And like, I want to have this high point, and then I want to recap, and it's all very organized in a way, even though I'm a very disorganized person. And it does, it's so like it's all connected, and it makes me I'm not even think about it, it's just sometimes it just happens to be that way.
This is all such great stuff. Thank you so much, Gigi. I just wanted to remind everyone that we're talking with Gigi. She's going to be doing a free live stream recital for the Harriman-Jewell series on Saturday. It airs at 7 p.m. She'll be here in Kansas City broadcasting live from the 1900 building, and you can watch this amazing performance at hjseries.org. We have a couple more questions, but before we get to them, do you want to play another tune for us?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, I don't want to give too much away for the concert, right? I don't want to give too much away, right? Okay. But I
Yeah,
thought
not
so.
too
Not
much.
too much. So I'll do another piece that's very dear to me, and it's one of my favorite pieces to really play. It's called Recuerdos de la Alhambra by Francisco Tarrega, and I mean, what a classic! What a classic! I mean, I hope you know this too, and if you do not, you'll fall in love forever. And I remember watching John Williams play this in an old DVD I had, and I was like, oh man, if I can just play like a tremolo like this. So tremolo is a guitar technique, technique, not just guitar technique, to sustain a sound, right? So guitars, we can't play like a bowed or a wind instrument to sustain sound. So our take on it is to play repeated notes to imitate a sustained sound. So without going too much into it, I'll play Recuerdos de la Alhambra by Francisco Tarrega. I'm gonna take this off.
Lovely. Yay. Great job.
Yeah, thank
Beautiful.
you.
I love the tremolo.
Yeah,
So
tremolo.
That leads perfectly into this question. Daniel wants to know, how do you balance your daily practice routine with maintaining technique like that with, say, improvising or something modern?
Yes. So it's a lot of organized practice. So um, it's so funny because I have zero organization in my life. It's so funny. I always talk about this, but I'm very like I have certain things that I'm very organized. So I did this personality test, and I'm an ENFP, and I find structure and organization like so like stifling. But there's one thing that I do follow on with my practice routine, and it's called a priority list. Um, and what do you mean? So I have my A group and my B group and my C group. So my A group is like piece that I'm going to learn, like something that is more like newish and something that I'm very terrified of. And B is something I'm okay, feeling good, not to worry, just some refinement. And C is more like sight reading, improvisation, and chamber music stuff that is not as like hardcore. Sometimes Wiley Love can be hardcore. But so you have this time, and I do teach, right? So I have to kind of juggle my practice, but I try to follow these ABC group. And if I have 3 hours, I would do more like an hour and a half on the A group, an hour on the B group, and 30 minutes in the C group. And I'm really, really like rigorous with following a pattern. And and I just and I just always have like my iPad. I have that categorized like ABC, and I always have a stopwatch because sometimes like you get into it and you're like just keep going, but you have to stop. You can't do it too much, and you stop and you do it every day, and you it's the best trick that I've learned to do. Practicing like this every day has helped me so much. Um, and it goes with my electric guitar too, and then like my electric guitar repertoire will be like part of the B group. A lot of the improvisation and like composition, that's something that I do when I have free time, so it's not really on my priority list right now. Um so yeah, I mean, like that's the only way I can get anything done. If I don't do this, I spiral out of control. So
That's great. How did you first start composing? And do you have a writing process, does it just come natural to you?
um how So when I first started composing, it was actually quite late in my life. Well, what happened was that I had a couple of friends in the theater program, and they asked, "Hey, would you like to score some music to this really, really intense?" Um, so I just get so emotional even like think about that play. It's just such an emotional, and it's about women, and so female monologue. It's called Revolt. She said again, revolt again, and it's just and it I made such an amazing friends through that. But they asked me, and I was like, I've never composed before, but I know how to use Ableton, so let's see. And every monologue had different moods, so it was kind of more of a easy, I would say a little bit more of a set structure of what I had to do. So I just tried to really match the mood that they were asking for. So that's how I got started into that writing, and I got it out of my system, and I was like, oh, I'm not too horrible at it, maybe. So ever since that, I started writing more music just for myself, and like some of the sound that I would hear, I would try to, really just like bring them, into life. And I hear a lot of textural sound. So a lot of music that I write are very heavily processed electric guitar pieces, a lot of electronics, a lot of low frequencies with like, subwoofers kind of thing. That's not actually how it sounds, but I can't do my low frequency sounds. And how I write music is it's different because you'll hear two pieces and their work process was totally different. One piece I wrote for my friend, and I was just like laying in bed, and just like the melody came to me, and it was like on forever loop, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. And I just like got out of bed and recorded everything, and I just finished the piece like from A to B in one day. And and then I did some refinement to just like get it a little bit more, just more of a piece. And then the second piece that I wrote was just like I improvised. I was improvising, and I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it. I just hated it. I just hated it. I just hated it. I just chucked it, chucked it, chucked it. And then one thing came finally. And out of that idea, then I started to build around the tail of it and take it to a different a place, how it spoke with me. So I don't know. I don't have a one size fits all kind of method. So yeah, it's interesting for me, and how I work on these pieces. Sometimes it's very hard. I hate listening to myself work, and I just get so like it's like a shrieking feeling. Or sometimes I get really into it. So I don't know. I just like I can't understand myself at all sometimes.
That leads into our next question. How do you, when you're exploring new music, how do you go about finding that new music, or does it find you? And do you want to talk about your Unbound project, maybe?
Yes, my Unbound project is my upcoming project. It's a solo virtuosity guitar project that I'm really excited about. I'm so sorry, I just got a phone call. Um, um, ah. So what I did was like it was this idea. I was going to bed. I have all these thoughts, and I told you how I was raised as a prodigy, and just like this idea of virtuosity always followed me around. And I kind of always wanted to reject that title, but also I wanted to embrace it as well. And I was playing Caprice 24 and Tinestera, and I was like, what if I make a statement with 8 new pieces that is very virtuosic. So I have asked 8 composers to write me a virtuosic piece. And oh boy, do I regret it. No, I don't regret it at all. It's so difficult. But and they're all so different. The thing is, I said I don't care what your interpretation of virtuosity means. It can be fast notes, it can be hardcore rhythmic piece, it could be, I don't know. You show me, and you like challenge me as a soloist. And all the pieces are just so different, and it kind of makes me also like just reiterate 21st century music is like an iTunes shuffle. It's like, and it's also like everything. And it's not this one thing. It's a shade of every color in a color spectrum. And I just think that's so cool that we're not all one color, you know? So that's my project. I don't know. The people I always tend to work with people who I vibe with. Like I have to be like, man, I really like you and I really like your music. Let's work together.
Well, that you're one of the pieces that you're going to play is by Hillary Purrington, who was your housemate. Do you want to talk and tell about that house? Sounds amazing. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the house that you lived in and
Yeah.
about your relationship with Hillary, maybe?
Yes. So you're going to hear the cadenza by Hilary Purrington, Guitar Concerto, Harp of Nerves. And she's such an amazing woman. Oh my gosh, is she an amazing composer? I am so lucky to have worked with her, and she's my friend. How amazing is that? But we lived in this house. It was called the Pink Mansion, and everyone knew in grad school. It was kind of like legendary. But we had a hot tub in our backyard, and we lived with 8 other people. It was so crazy, and we had this one person who's like, oh my gosh, one person living in the basement, and like 9 of us, 7 of us living upstairs, and our landlord was so wacky. He was so awful. But like we had this one tiny kitchen, so everyone was ready to kill each other. But Hillary did not want to kill me. So I was like, whoa, I'm kind of messy, but that's great. She doesn't want to kill me. And oh, it was so funny. Like we used to like hang these like sculptures around the room, like with these fake bananas, and like we have a fog machine just for the sake of it. And we weren't like having raging parties there, but we always like invite people to just freak them out. And it's like, oh, this is a pink mansion. And we even had the oh my gosh, geez, Georgian men choir, like during a tour, the snowstorm came in and they just came to our house, and we had a Georgian feast with chakapuri. We made so much chakapuri, and we had so much wine, and everyone was like improvising. Oh my gosh, it was the craziest artist house. It was so fun. Sorry, that
No,
sounds
that's
so
awesome.
wild.
No, that's great because you hear you read about all these composers living together and for songwriters and stuff living together back in the day, and so this is the 21st century version of that,
Yeah.
of an artist commune. Um, I just wanted to remind everyone that Gigi's free live stream recital is going to be on Saturday at 7 p.m. and you can watch it for free at hjseries.org. Gigi, it's been so great to talk to you today. I wanted to remind folks, if you have any last questions, if you want to throw them in the chat, feel free to ask. And Clark wants to know, can you tell us a little bit about your instruments that you're going to play?
So my instrument is made by Gerda Wagner, who is this amazing German luthier, and he makes like 10 guitars a year, or maybe less than that. And he has a 15-year like long wait list. And I was so lucky to have gotten it in 2009. And it's a double tap guitar. It's a very modern guitar, and I'm like whacking my plant as I'm talking. And it's like it is one of the loudest guitar that you can play. I really love it, and it's such a versatile instrument. And I I don't know. I mean, it's my life, and I've traveled with it, lived with it, and it was part of my like most important journey. And the electric guitar that I'm gonna play and that I'm gonna bring is a Fender Strat American body, and I have a Filtertron pickups. What can I say about it? Oh, it was like customized by amazing guy named Jack Figgies in Connecticut. So if you wanna, yeah, check out his stuff. He put the TV Jones Filtertron pickups into the Fender, and it's so cool. It's a really nice electric guitar, and it's a sunburst matte finish, and it's a it's a beautiful instrument. It feels like it's my color.
Do you feel that your instruments have a soul? Do they speak? Do they tell you different things?
Yes. So my Fender Strat is more of my this goddess figure. She's my goddess, and she's very spicy. She's very funky. She's very volatile. And Wagner, I don't know. He's more like very like solid and just always there for you, kind of. Used to call him Barton. Isn't that funny? I used to he was Barton, and I don't call him Barton anymore.
Well, Gigi, we're running out of time here. Do you want to lead us out with one last number, or are you, or
I mean,
something?
I shouldn't give away too much of my what is not part of the thing, but I want to give you guys one last awesome story. How's that?
Oh, that sounds
So,
great. Yeah.
as that, so I, like I said, it's not. I wasn't always like getting the best praises in the whole wide world, and I don't think I should have gotten all those praises. And I think they've kind of always shaped. They they really made me improve as a person, as a musician, and I'm really thankful to this person, this artist named Roland Diaz. And yeah, when I played for him when I was 9 years old, his piece, because I was in love with his music, and he came to Korea to give a master class. And oh boy, did he not enjoy my playing. He was like, "Your rhythm is terrible. Your fingers are stupid. Why would you ever play my piece?" I can't do French. Oh my god, please delete this. Oh my, oh my gosh. But Roland, bless Roland Diaz, the greatest composer guitarist of the whole wide world. I mean, he really made me the guitarist that I am because I was like, I'm Korean. So I was like, oh, that old man has no idea who I am or what I'm capable of. I'm going to make a revenge plan for the next 18 years to show that I am the legit, the best guitarist in the whole wide world. Isn't that funny? As a 9-year old? Oh my God. So here it is, Penguin Sky by Roland Diaz, the exact piece when I played for him when I was 9 years old. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yes, Gigi, thank you so much for showing us what spite will do after 18 years of, spiteful playing.
No,
uh,
I'm so thankful. I was probably like such a little stupid head. When I was little, I probably was like very very stupid. I'm glad that he like called me out. It's like practice.
there you go. Well, Gigi, thank you so much. We're so looking forward to having you in Kansas City. It's going to be a little colder than it is in Arizona, so pack a coat. But we're so delighted to have you here. And again, Gigi, thank you so much. Tune into her live stream recital Saturday at 7 p.m. and you can watch it at hjseries.org. Gigi, thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Oh my gosh.
Thank you, everyone.